Hi, happy Friday, everybody. This is Jen Wilson here at Leadership Lunch Chat with my good friend Amy Vetter. Hey, Amy.
Hello.
How are
Happy
you today?
Friday.
Yeah, yes. I saw like a tweet this morning that was like, "We made it," and I was feeling sad for the person who put it there. But as I thought about it a little bit, I was like, "Oh yeah, we did." this
I,
was a long week. We did make it.
well, I don't know what it was about this week. I felt the same way. And on Wednesday, someone got on a call and said, Happy Friday Eve, which really messed me up because then I thought it was Thursday. And then like now I still
I
have
know.
Thursday to go. So.
I know. On Tuesday, I was talking to my dad and my brother, my husband, and I said, like, I'm glad it's Wednesday, and they were both like, well, it's Tuesday. So, anyway, so okay, everybody. So it's a
But
great
it
week.
is Friday.
It's
So
a great week in August. We have several weeks of August left. Let's really soak that in because we know when we hit September, it's autumn. School's already starting here in Nebraska. Our school system, I saw the kids walking in today with their backpacks, and my youngest starts college on Sunday. And, that's kind of a big deal. A lot of people have asked me if I'm going to be having like empty nest feelings or like sadness or something. And if you heard the kind of teenage girl arguments happening in my house this morning, you would know that presently I'm thinking
your
that,
kids are okay.
and plus the fact that they're not that far away from me and they come back with fair frequency. And so I'm excited for them and excited for us too, I guess. So anyway,
Yeah, I'm in
today,
the same boat. My
yeah.
son starts, well, today they had a senior sunrise, so it's their last sunrise before school starts next week. They become official seniors, so they got up at 5:30 in the morning to go watch the sunrise. But this will be my last year before empty nesting too. So yeah, it's a transition.
Yeah, I mean, I just don't have any negative feelings about it. As a parent, you want to get your kids up and out and independent and their own feelings of success.
Yes.
That's winning, and I don't know how to make that about me to the negative. I just don't. So hopefully, and I feel like if I got a little teeny bit of capacity back or something, that would be like a miracle. And I mean that.
Well, and I find it just strange to plan for yourself.
Yes.
Like that's it. That's just
Not,
planning for yourself.
yeah, I'm not doing that yet, and I won't be doing that even after this. So anyway, but speaking of capacity and a little bit of extra space, Amy and I thought we'd talk today about the process of trimming down your client base, getting right sizing your capacity and your commitments to the actual labor that you have in the place. And I did some teaching on it this week, and one of the things I got really present to was the selfish interest of the leaders in an organization, and really maybe all the client owners, and the ways that they try to hang on to these clients, even though it's a little bit like, we're all in a lifeboat together and we don't have enough food or water, and we're unwilling to put anybody in any other boat that might have food and water for them. We want to just keep them all in our boat forever and complain about how starving we are or something. It's crazy. And so this idea of trimming the client base is critical. And so we thought we'd kind of dedicate this leadership lunch chat to calling clients and what stops us from doing it. And so, Amy, I don't know if you want to start with that and I'll pick up after.
Well, and I think part of it is our discussion that we've had on remote hybrid culture, as that is such an important thing of retaining your team. And part of retaining your team is that people are excited to work with the clients that you have, and that you're excited to work with the clients that you have as well. And what I see over and over is this, I don't feel like my clients value me. I don't feel like my clients appreciate the work that we do. And a lot of times there's multiple reasons for having that feeling. Is it us or is it them? And how disciplined we are as far as making sure that there are operating policies with rigor and scope with these clients. And part of having scope is stepping back and understanding what your client profiles are and personas are that you want to work with in your firm, and you're not swaying from that. And where that becomes a little bit of an issue in bigger firms is that, people want to refer their clients to another department because it's their client, but they might not be the right fit for that other department. And then we get into feeling like we have to take certain clients and they're pulling down our work, and the staff's not happy, and it's not the type of work that we do. And then we go back to our partners, and those partners are like, this is my longtime client. There's big potential with this client and so forth. There's lots of reasons, but a lot of times why we're unhappy with the clients we have is because we haven't put the right discipline behind making sure that we're working with the clients that we want, and our clients are following the policies that we set in our practice.
Yeah, so I hear Kaz talking, by the way, in the background there, the undercurrent of Kaz, because certainly all the Kaz leaders in the country know that they get a lot of pressure from their partnership to take clients that are really bookkeeping clients. They're using systems or a tech stack that we don't support, and we feel like trapped in the yes. And firms should have a written definition of ideal target client that is super detailed. It's not just a size of client or an industry or a geography. It's the type of entity itself. It's psychographic factors like, are they digital? In the case of a CAS practice, it's probably that they are willing to use the tech stack we support, or they already are on pieces or components of it. Ideal target client definition is critical by service line, by industry group, and service line's too broad. You can't say this is the tax ideal, because it's a different ideal for corporate tax versus individual tax, for state and local tax, for certain tax credits. They're different kinds of targets. And so having that in writing, having that published, a lot of firms resist it because they feel that the minute they write it, they can never sell to a non-ideal. We would agree that it becomes harder to sell to a non-ideal. You have to get an approval from a service line leader or industry group leader then, but you still could sell to a non-ideal if the business reasons are compelling enough. But when we're talking about right-sizing the client base, which we're going to do because we don't have enough human beings to serve the clients we have with the quality of service we really are committed to, and with the depth of relationship and depth of service. Right now, we're just skimming the surface with these clients, and we're barely relating to them. We're super transactional. Nobody feels good about that. None of the providers I'm talking to, have high self-esteem about the depth that they're going into with clients, because they're just playing whack-a-mole, with the clients and the deliverables. And so we have to trim somehow. And one of the ways to trim is to know who your ideals are, and then identify all the clients that aren't, and say, why are we serving them, and what purpose do they serve, and should we continue that? And that's one suspicious way to identify them. Another suspicious way, by the way, to identify them is if they won't pay the fee increases that we've just been shouldering. We've been saying at least 10% fee increases because inflation's 9%. And then we hear partners say, well, my clients would never, I can't do that with my clients. You don't understand. The client base I serve won't support that. And then we're like, well, then why are we still serving them? How could we afford to keep serving them if they're not willing to help us defray the cost, increased cost of labor, technology, and everything else that's out there? And so anyway, those are just some thoughts on some of the objections we hear, and how important it is to get out there and push for this reduction anyway.
Yeah. And I think when you're talking about fee increases, it's stepping back and really thinking about what is included in packaging and pricing. It is, not necessarily just saying to someone their fee is up 10%. This is the value that they're getting. So part of the problem that I see a lot of times in that discussion when there's pushback of, oh, my client wouldn't pay that, is that you've never really had the conversation. It's not even a comfortable conversation to be in, and that's a sales conversation. And if you're not comfortable in selling and having that consultative discussion, then definitely get training on it, practice with people before you get into that conversation. But what you'll find is you're dealing with business owners who are dealing with the same thing in their own businesses. And if they're, having to raise prices because of the services that they do, or they've elevated their business and going after a different customer base, they understand the same things that you're trying to explain about your business as well. And what I've found is most of the time, as long as you have a very open conversation and are able to get their feedback and hear their pain points, and then how you're able to solve them in your pricing as well. And there might be upsell opportunities once you hear that, even more than just a price increase of, really hearing that there's other things you can help them with. Those conversations are well received. You might have a small 10, 20% that go away, and that's good. So that isn't bad, because what is happening is you're increasing the overall fee base with less people so that you can create capacity. And that's the problem right now, is if what I say a lot to the people that I work with is, if you're getting too many yeses, your price is too low.
Always.
So you should not have yes. You should not have a yes on every conversation. And it's really important to understand that we don't just take in anyone that wants to be our client, that we are being just as selective in that process and making sure it benefits the total firm, not just our department or book of business. That what is the upsell opportunity overall for the firm as well over the lifetime of that client, not just the moment we're bringing them in the door.
Right. Well, and this idea that we're going to sit down and have these fee conversations, that's sort of like the way business has to run right now. It's separate really from culling. I tell people, if we're going to reduce our capacity client service wise by 10 or 15 or 20%, maybe using Pareto's rule or something, what I might be doing is, not talking fees, because some firms will be like, well, we'll just raise fees and that'll do it. It doesn't. And especially in this market, when people are having a hard time finding services and they know how short everybody is, they're not going to leave you for fees, which is an endorsement for raising them. Mm-hmm. But what we have to be careful of is that we are committed to open up this capacity so we can innovate in the business, so we can develop our people, so we can go deeper with clients, so we can relieve our talent of clients they don't love, or that we don't love, or that the work is not good for us, or it's really random and isolated work and higher risk probably. And so, we've got to go through this process of trimming the tree of our clients and taking those lower branches off. And what I have been, really asking firm leaders to do is to talk about the selfish interest that will stop people from doing it and throw it up on the table. They're the elephants in the room. Everybody knows they're there, but we never discuss them overtly. And so instead we allow a lot of manipulation and resistance, instead of just saying, here are some of the issues that we know you're going to be feeling and thinking, and let's just talk about them like adults. And one of them is, I'm afraid that my comp will be less if my client billings are less because I trimmed clients. And so if I have either, incentives around my billings, or I have a book of business measurement or I have a book under management or billings under management or whatever you want to call it, and it's part of my scorecard or ratios considered for comp, we have to be straight about what culling is going to do to that. And I would like to say, it'd be so nice to set a quota system down with the partners and say, everybody cuts 10%, right? So that would make it easy, because then ratably, we're cutting that 10% and our comp will be the same, basically. You might have had a bigger billings under management than I did, but we cut them, both of us, by 10%. You might out earn me off on that metric, but if I'm the only one that cuts them and nobody else does, that's not going to work. And so we have to talk about that. Now, it doesn't work always to say everybody cuts 10. Some people in the firm may have like sweetheart practices. We don't want to cut one of those. And others may have practices that really don't make sense to us. And so those people could take a hit, and maybe we're going to allow them to. Or maybe we're not. Maybe we're going to help protect that hit. But we have to talk about the comp implications, because if we don't, then that's the tail wagging the dog while they're not culling clients. That's one of them. So others that you could think of, Amy?
Yeah. So one of the things that I think is an important practice to go through when you've gone through what it is that you want to serve, and you've done that as a team and everyone's in agreement, is to then create a questionnaire for your staff to fill out about the clients that they're working with, and have them rank it, have them talk about why they like a client or don't like a client, and so forth. And you find out a couple things. One is you might find out there's issues with the client that you don't even realize that are making the staff unhappy. Because again, going back into culture, you want to make sure people are happy at work. And part of what you can't control is a client's culture. And so you need to make sure they're in alignment with the values, the mission of your own firm. And if it isn't, that is an area of having to cut a client after you've spoken to them if they're not treating your staff properly. But secondly, it also helps to understand that they might believe a client isn't valuing their work, or they're not getting their stuff on time, and that's why they don't like a client, and so forth, or they're not responsive. And then those decisions are process decisions, or other things that we need to go back to the client about and push them on. We don't necessarily ready to fire them as a client, but to see if they can get in line with our processes to make our culture better as well. So it's really good to have a pressure point around all of this. Is number one, who do we want to be working with, and making sure our client list is in alignment with that. But number two, making sure that we've got rigor around our own processes and customer experience to make sure that the clients that are worth to stay in the practice, to kind of pressure test if someone's saying, I don't want to get rid of that client. Okay, well, these are the issues that have arisen with that client. Are you going to discuss with that client to make sure that they start following in line with what our culture, our procedures, our processes are supposed to be? And if they can fall in line, then great. Then you've improved the client relationship. You have more fees out of it. Everything is better in the end. But if they're still not willing to do that, you can't keep holding on, hoping and wishing that person is going to be a fit, even if personally you like them or you're getting a few dollars in your book of business about it, because it's not a long-term solution. Because you lose staff, there's no bench, and then you lose a lot more clients in the future.
Yeah. Well, I mean, gosh, there's a lot there, Amy. And I guess I just look at this whole thing and I'm thinking to myself, conflict conversations, that's the next elephant in the room. Yeah. I don't wanna, I'm scared, you said it earlier, like a fee increase, you've got to prepare, you have to get a position statement, you have to practice it. Maybe the same with these conversations about, getting an alignment and getting the scope aligned and shifting how, the client treats us and all of those things. And maybe part of this decision of who we keep and who we cull, if you have a client that you're not comfortable talking to, maybe we partner up and we do it together or whatever, right? So it doesn't just have to be like, hey, partner, go fix this. It could be like, let's get with marketing or, other folks that are less concerned about having that conversation and work together to clean these up. Otherwise, there could be something, and this was going through my head, so I'll just confess it. Like, I have a little bit of like, enough already. Give me the list of names. Let's send a letter or make phone calls. It's over. These guys are gone.
Yeah.
No amount of cleanup is okay. No amount of conflict conversation makes sense. We have no time for it anyway. Nobody's going to prep and do those artfully because there's no capacity whatsoever. So let's just make some stinking room. And, I know that's harsh potentially, and certainly not a one size fits all thing, but there's a bunch of me that's just like, come on. And another tail wagging the dog back there besides I don't wanna, which is, like, I like August and now I'm getting busy again with fall work and I just don't wanna, I don't have room for this. But there's never a better time than right after 10:15 or 10:31. Right after that is the best time to let clients go, not just tax clients, all the clients. It's the best time for them to find another provider before the next major cycle of service. And so this is a conversation we have to have now. We can't kick the can on it. We can't push it. And so another tail wagging the dog is the buy sell. And I'm still running into buyouts inside firms that are calculated off billings or calculated off book of business. I even, I'm telling you, every other week, maybe I run into a good sized firm, a great firm that I love, that I discover is eat what you kill. They're not one firm. And so they literally, when they retire, sell the clients to other partners, which is not good. Mm-hmm. That's not a one firm model. It's not a corporate model. It has a million dysfunctional elements to it, one of which are at some point we should do a whole leadership lunch chat on eat what you kill versus one firm for sure. But, if I have this client base and you're telling me to cut it and I am going to reduce my retirement pay because of that, that's not going to work. So we're going to need to freeze my retirement pay. We could renegotiate it if I really don't deserve what I am going to be getting paid because it's out of line with the market or it's out of line for my contributions to the firm. The clients really aren't going to stick because nobody wants them or they're not even the right client for us. Then we have to have some tough conversations there. But some firms, they'll avoid the whole culling conversation because they know they have a couple partners that are going to get hit unduly, let's say, or more than the rest, and that it'll hit retirement. So they just avoid and then overpay the retirement on clients they don't even want.
Right.
And that makes no sense to me at all. And those client bases are suspicious for high priority culling at this date. And we should really be looking at them if they exist in the business, regardless of the buy sell, and then just negotiate a new deal with that person, whatever that deal needs to be to get the clients fired. And the worst is, Amy, I'm seeing some clients, some CPA firms transition those crummy clients. They're literally making people take them. And even not like if it's a big tax base and we don't have enough tax people, they're distributing them to CAS people or to auditors, which is mind-blowing. Mind-blowing. They're not even clients we want.
Right.
Don't do that, folks, because your young people are watching you do it and they're thinking, wow, I thought the business model was flawed already. This looks insane. And so it's really a disheartening strategy. And for me, when I look in the window, I think, oh no, you're in big trouble now. So don't do that. Fire them. Don't do that. It's, the clients, they're not our clients anymore. When you start doing that, when you're like begging people to serve them or you're giving them to people that don't even know the discipline that client needs, they're not even technically competent to deliver the service, but you're transferring the work to them.
better to sell it outside the firm.
100%.
Sell a book of business outside of the firm.
All
It's
day long.
doesn't fit. Yeah.
All day long. And there are big consolidators, online consolidators that are buying that stuff. They'll pay you an earnout. Oh, yes. Thank you for saying that. I was so grossed out by the fact that anybody would even think about
Yeah.
it. Forgot to mention I was so steeped in make wrong that I couldn't get to the solution there, Amy. Thank you. You know, calling myself out. But I really think that, you know, firms that are doing that are driving down the value of the firm, and they're making their people call into question the strategic vision and just where are we headed with this thing?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. So we could talk on and on about this, probably a full day workshop around it, but yeah, we'll let everyone go for their weekend.
Good idea. So
we gave you food for thought this weekend. Think about which 10% you're going to start removing.
Yes, please. And, you know, Amy and I both have tons of tools and resources and can provide assistance and experience and other people who've done it and all that stuff. We want to help you. Also, I think Eat What You Kill versus one firm is going to be a future topic for sure. But if you have other ideas, share them in social or email us. We are always open. And Amy, thank you. Have a great weekend. And thanks, everybody.
You too.
Bye now.